Hi there, this is Alex Mitchell from Agents of Change Prep, and today we're going to be covering your ASWB exam checklist. This is your checklist to go through to confirm that you are ready to take your ASWB exam. So you might be a couple weeks out, you might be a few days out. That's okay. Go through this checklist, pause it, double check on your side that you've accomplished all these items. And if you haven't, we highly encourage you to go through them before you actually sit down to take your ASWB exam. These checklist items will really help give you the best chance possible of passing your ASWB exam. So whether you're taking the bachelor's, master's, or clinical ASWB exam, this checklist is valid. Check off these items and make sure you are ready for test day. So the first item is to really review all of your videos and materials 2 times. 2 times is really important. So whether you're using Agents of Change or you're using another program or a combination of programs, review all of those materials, watch all of those videos, listen to all of that audio 2 times. And 2 times is important because that second time around, you're going to be paying attention to some different information. Your ears have heard that content one time. Your eyes have seen it one time. You'll be able to think a bit more critically. You'll recognize those details you might have missed. And make sure as you go through and you're reviewing these materials to be practicing what we call active reading strategies. So you have active reading strategies and passive reading strategies. Passive might be something like reading a book on the beach. You're not paying too much attention. You're just relaxing. Active, you want to be taking notes. You want to be confirming that you're understanding the content you're reading. You're rereading sections that you maybe didn't completely understand. And you're coming back to materials that were maybe challenging the first time around. So really practice that active reading as you go through and review your materials. And again, review them 2 times. Maybe even make some notes the first time you go through about what didn't quite make a ton of sense or you didn't understand completely. And you can read those even a third time as you go through or look for more materials to strengthen your understanding. But at the highest level, just make sure that you review all of your materials, whatever they are, 2 times and practice active reading strategies. Our second tip is to participate in study groups. So even as you're coming into that last couple weeks or maybe even last 5-6 days, it's still a good idea to find a study group of other people in the same kind of state of studying that you're in. So same exam level, same level of preparation that they've gone through, and try and focus in those groups on those areas where you had some weaknesses or a lack of knowledge. You might recognize or find that someone in that study group is able to share a different perspective on that topical area that you hadn't come across before. That might help it click well for you in your studying. So you can really take advantage of that with these study groups and just find another way to review those areas that are weaker. With Agents of Change, we have 2 live study groups per month and a wealth of recorded study groups on almost all exam topics. So if that's something you're looking for, definitely check out Agents of Change. But of course, you can find these study groups in many places and can find those people who are in a similar exam or the same exam and in a similar state of studying as you are to give you that different perspective that you may need to get over that hump to understand that content area that may be tricky for you. So make sure to participate in those study groups or continue to participate in them if you've been doing that all along. That's a very important part here of the checklist. Review the code of ethics 2 times. So you're feeling a little bit of a theme here. Reviewing once is often not enough. Again, our brains are trying to process new information. We might be missing some of the details. So reviewing the code of ethics twice is equally as important as reviewing all of your content of your kind of course that you've purchased or the materials that you're using to prepare. So the code of ethics, as hopefully you know by this point, if you're close to your exam, is a very important part of the exam. It's obviously detailing all of the ethical considerations that social workers should take into account for certain situations they'll encounter throughout their careers. Many test questions are based on the code of ethics, so having a really strong understanding of the code of ethics will help you perform better on the exam. So again, reviewing twice lets you get beyond just the surface level understanding of the ethical area, but lets you actually internalize those details, think about how they can be applied, review practice questions that touch on the code of ethics. And that active reading, again, here pays off. So take notes as you go through that code of ethics. Put question marks by things that you don't quite understand fully and you need to maybe research a bit more in depth. So review that code of ethics 2 times before your exam. Very important for your ASWB prep. So we talked about your study materials. This may be a time to consider supplemental materials as well. At Agents of Change, we often recommend, we always recommend taking the ASWB official practice test and often recommend other resources if folks are looking for more practice questions, another perspective. Typically using 1 or 2 additional study resources is appropriate for many folks. But again, definitely take that ASWB official practice test. We usually recommend about a week to 2 weeks before your actual exam. Doing it with that lead time will allow you to react to the results of that exam. You'll be able to see where you're stronger, areas you need to review again, areas you need to maybe consult with in a study group to try and understand another perspective on. So consider additional study resources if you need them, but definitely take that practice test. Those additional study resources are important because they might cover the same materials, but you might have more depth. So for example, you might get more on the code of ethics, or you might get more on another topic that's covered in the exam. So using different resources gives you a diversity of understanding that definitely can pay off for your ASWB exam. I'm going to repeat myself here. Take practice exams. So of course, we just mentioned the ASWB official practice test and taking that 1 to 2 weeks before your exam. We recommend taking other practice exams as well. So this is why with the Agents of Change program, we include a full-length practice test, and we even offer a second practice test, full length, for folks who want to get even more practice. Really, there's nothing that beats understanding how well you are prepared than taking a practice test. It's really where the rubber meets the road, and you'll be able to understand, again, those strengths and those weaknesses in your own test preparation. And you'll also give yourself enough time to react to those areas that maybe you're not performing as strongly within. So highlight those areas of challenge on those exams as you take them over the weeks leading up to your actual exam. Study them again, practice active reading, review with study groups, find other supplemental materials. All these are great ways to continue to increase your knowledge right up till test day. So very, very highly recommend take at least 1 practice exam. That's the bare minimum, but we also recommend taking a few extras if you can. Also, as you're taking these exams, compare and contrast your scores. So you may have made strides in certain areas between your first and your second test, but you may have seen that, certain areas I didn't make as much improvement, or I didn't make any improvement. So kind of compare and contrast those areas and those improvements you're making to further refine the direction you go as you approach test day. And this may feel a little bit repetitive, but that's intentional. By repeating this process, by continually evaluating with these practice exams how you're doing, you're going to keep improving leading up to that test day. And in addition to doing well on the test, you're going to be more confident in things like the code of ethics as you move into your social work career. So it's important not only for this exam, but for the rest of your social work life. Review the KSAs. So we say this to all of our students at Agents of Change, but you should go directly to the ASWB website. You can do this now in another tab, pause me and come back, but review those knowledge skill assessments for your specific exam level from the ASWB. I sometimes recommend printing these out, put them on your desk, cross off the ones that you feel really good in or you've seen you're performing well in on your practice exams. Circle or star the ones where you need to review more or you feel challenged on. It's a great way to keep track of how you're building that knowledge as you go through your studying journey. But these KSAs are what the test is built on. They're what we build our program at Agents of Change around. So really make sure you understand what they're testing at the ASWB, which areas you maybe are a little bit short on knowledge and which ones maybe you feel very confident about or you're performing very well in the practice exams around. So a highly, highly recommended pre-test checklist item is to review those KSAs directly from the ASWB website for your specific exam level. So please, please do this. It will definitely help your exam preparation. And finally, a few test day tips that we always recommend. So first, check your testing location. We often recommend at Agents of Change the day before, a couple days before, even try and drive to your testing location. Keep in mind there might be traffic on test day. You don't want to be finding it for the first time. Maybe it's in the back of a building or in a spot that's a little bit tricky to park. Figure that out the day before, the week before, show up early, and make sure you bring those 2 forms of ID that are required. So, it sounds basic, but it's a great way to minimize your stress. One, fewer piece of information for you to think about on your test day. It'll let you stay focused on that exam content. And this is a challenging exam, so expect that you may have some anxiety as you come to the test center or even as you sit down to take your exam. So create a plan for how you can manage that anxiety or self-doubt or being overwhelmed. That might be taking breaths, that might be doing a visualization exercise, that might be writing something down on a piece of paper or on the kind of item that they give you at the test center to jot down notes. It'll help you just plan and manage that anxiety that happens to many people. So you don't have to feel bad about it. It's just part of taking an exam like this. And so if you have a plan to manage it, you will be in great shape for test day. And then a few other quick recommendations. Bring a couple layers. You don't know if the test center is going to be hot or cold. You don't want to be surprised there. Eat something before the test, right? It's a longer exam. So make sure you're not hangry as you come into that exam. Eat before. That'll help your brain stay charged as you go through these questions. And listen to your body. Take a break, take a bathroom break if you need it. Don't just push yourself to finish it all right through. If you need a break, take one. Go and take some breaths, relax. And then come back to the exam a little bit recharged. So just a few test day tips that we recommend to our students at Agents of Change. So if this content was helpful and you're looking for even more depth or some of those practice exams I mentioned, or just more content in general, check out Agents of Change Prep. Megan Mitchell is our lead instructor there. And you can also reach out to us at any time at contact@Agents of Change Prep with questions. We'd love to help answer those, but you can also find contact information on our website, agentsofchangeprep.com. Thank you.